In the world of anime, as in the world of games, there are a ton of shows that simply don't get watched. It's crazy how, unless a series is lucky, like Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, or Dandadan, it's destined to only be seen by a handful of people who will sing its praises till the end of time. For example, the series that I obsess over, while everyone else seems to ignore it, is A Sister's All You Need. And no, you're not allowed to judge me. Only the goddess Nayuta Kani can judge me. In any case, to prevent my loyal followers from resorting to watching live-action television, your platonic papa Pixcelation has returned from buying milk with a new batch of anime I think you're really gonna like. If this is your first video on the channel, then welcome! If you aren't new around here, well, you know what to expect. So let's hop into another assortment of underrated anime. Ah, yes. It sometimes astounds me how much of an impact Danganronpa had on the medium. But if there was ever a testament to its profound influence, it's Tomodachi Game. A scathing indictment of late-stage capitalism crossed with an armchair psychologist's analysis on the nature of friendship, Tomodachi Game is both wildly pretentious and ridiculously entertaining all at the same time. Let me be clear. If this video somehow convinces you to watch Tomodachi Game, the first few episodes will likely have you questioning my sanity. But hang in there, because while the stakes might not be as high as, say, Battle Royale or Danganronpa, at a certain point, the melodrama makes this one worth the binge. Tomodachi Game follows Yuichi, Shiho, Tenji, Makoto, and Yutori as they find themselves drafted into a series of psychological mind games to clear or multiply their personal debts. As the five friends play these extraordinarily fucked up games, their bonds are stress tested. While they don't have to worry about losing their lives in the Tomodachi Game, the lengths each will go to clear their debts could shatter any hope of leaving the game with their friendships intact. And, for a quintet of anime kids, there might be no worse fate than a friendship lost to the wind. I think this is one of those anime where you finish the final episode, take a deep breath, and think to yourself, that was actually pretty decent. Which is a sentiment that will be immediately swapped with the immense dread of knowing it'll never get a second season. I owe a lot to Guilty Crown. It, alongside Eureka 7, helped to inspire my creativity in a crucial time. It was one of the first anime I ever wrote a review for. It directly inspired part of the Intermind Legacy, the fictional series I have been working to make reality for more than 15 years, and I even recorded a cover of the opening song back in the day, and it's as bad as you can imagine. I recall a friend trying to get me into Guilty Crown about a year before I would actually give it a fair shot. But ever since, the series has followed me. It's also an unbelievably cool concept that is executed very well, even if it ended up becoming the discount variant of Code Geass. And believe it or not, it's one of the first examples of what would come to be known as the Sawano drop. Guilty Crown follows Shu Oma, who sleepwalks through life in a version of Japan ravaged by a disease known as the Apocalypse Virus. In its wake, an authoritarian government, GHQ, has risen up in an effort to guide people back to some semblance of normalcy, but the way to hell is paved with good intentions. As if by providence, Shu runs into Inori, which leads to his receipt of the power of the king, allowing him to manifest the psyche of those around him as physical weapons. Shu joins the resistance group Funeral Parlor despite friction with the group's leader, Guy, as they seek to free Japan from the GHQ. I really dig almost everything about this one. I know I mentioned earlier it's basically the discount variant of Code Geass, but to be frank, I think the concept was executed brilliantly here. I like how they chose to visually depict the Apocalypse Virus as the crystallization of the victim's flesh, and the progression of Shu from a passive nobody to vindictive cynic and back again was really neat. I think the ending was a little weak, and may leave some viewers wanting more, but at the same time it's an appropriate, if poorly paced, turn of events that makes sense in context. If you choose to give Guilty Crown a chance, you'll find it's one of those anime that has aged rather gracefully, if I do say so myself. If you've seen anime rom-coms before, you know what you're getting into with Momokuri. While it might not be revolutionary in the genre, it's so damn cute that I don't even mind. Momokuri centers on Momo, a first-year high schooler who is confessed to by Kuri, a second year, and follows their attempts at navigating the perils of first love. It gets a little different when it's revealed Kuri's love language looks a whole lot like stalking. She takes candid pictures of Momo, recovers his used straws, hyperventilates while observing him in class. You know, normal anime rom-com stuff. You might wonder, based on that synopsis, if this is some kind of subversion into horror, but no, it's one of those anime that depicts the pseudo-stalker's behavior as cute, because neither of them are really aware that what she's doing is considered a red flag. Then again, Kuri's best friend is constantly calling her out anytime she goes overboard, so maybe that's not a valid defense after all. I don't care, it's still adorable. If you find yourself enjoying anime like My Sweet Tyrant and My Love Story, check out Momokuri. That is, if you can find a legal avenue to do so. The license has lapsed, so you may need to sail the high seas. As I started Sonny Boy, I couldn't help but think it was the most pretentious thing imaginable. It felt like one of those series that is confusing for no other reason than to be confusing. But the more I watched, and the more I sat with this one, the more I realized there could be more to it that I failed to see at a first glance. It's less about answering questions about its world, and more about asking questions, taking a step back, and letting the audience figure out their own answers. And, incidentally, because Sonny Boy is a multiversal romp through infinite dimensions, any answer to any question you might come up with can be, and probably is, canon. To be frank, this one might actually be one of the only times a multiversal narrative sticks the landing for me. The concept of a multiverse is inherently complicated, and any story that tries to dumb it down for the lowest common denominator, i.e. me, is likely to fail. Sonny Boy refuses to hold our hand as it weaves this tapestry of convoluted and enigmatic drama and multifaceted characters. It's a coming-of-age story where, instead of common adolescent struggles, our bloated cast has to learn to cooperate when they find themselves trapped in an infinite void leading to a whirlpool of dimensions and worlds with their own unique rules and limitations. To add insult to injury, they also have to cope with the aforementioned adolescent struggles, which leads to schisms in the group. It's the kind of show where time doesn't really matter. Characters could be there one episode and be gone the next because it's been several decades, and again, the show refuses to hold your hand and trusts you to understand. Shingo Natsume, known for directing Aka 13 Territory Inspection Department, Boogie Pop, and others, as well as Tatami Time Machine Blues, not only serves as the director of Sonny Boy, but also its creator. Madhouse is already a legendary anime studio, but when you pair it with an equally legendary creator in Natsume, the end result is a series you'll think about for years after finishing it. It takes a lot for a workplace comedy anime to stand out. In the case of Working, or as it's known in the West, Wagnaria, it helps to have an amazing cast of memorable characters that drive its story forward. I used to joke that the last thing I wanted to do when I got home from working my dead-end restaurant gig was watch an anime about a cast of characters working at a restaurant, and well, I was right, which is why I waited until I wasn't working at a restaurant to sit down and seriously watch this one. Working is a workplace comedy following the staff of a family restaurant called Wagnaria, most notably the main lead Sota, short Queen Popera, and the androphobic Mahiru. But that's not all! There's the delinquent manager, the chief of staff who carries around a katana, Diet Sanji, Izaya Orihara, the waitress who lives in the restaurant's attic, and a whole slew of other wacky characters. Across 3 seasons filled with slice-of-life shenanigans, we see these characters grow and mature and fall in love despite themselves, and by the end I was left absolutely devastated. It was an amazing series, but you know how it is when a good thing ends. You want more, no matter what. Admittedly, another series was released in 2016, www.working, but it wasn't as good, and it only got 1 season, so... Thank you for watching this episode of Anime Ambush. It's always fun taking a look back at some of the anime the general populace seems to ignore, but hopefully there's at least one you'll be watching next. If you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe here on YouTube or join the Pixcelation Patreon by following the link in the video description. I'm not nearly big enough to attract a sponsor yet, so that'll have to do until then. I've been Pixcelation, and until the next time I see you, stay pixelated.